Here's a truth that most people don't discover until it's too late. People don't treat you based on who you are. They treat you based on the value they believe you bring. At first, that sounds unfair, maybe even cruel, because most of us grow up believing that being a good person should be enough. Be kind, be honest, work hard, and people will respect you. But life doesn't always work that way. Think about someone who spent years being ignored. Nobody cared about their opinions. Nobody asked for their advice. Nobody took them seriously. Then, a few years later, everything changed. They became skilled. They became successful. They became confident. And suddenly people started listening. The same person, the same voice, the same ideas, but completely different treatment. Why? Because the value people saw had changed. And when perceived value changes, behavior changes. You can see this everywhere. At work, in friendships, in relationships, even inside families. The uncomfortable truth is that human beings naturally move toward value. Not just money, value. A person who solves problems creates value. A person who keeps their word creates value. A person who stays calm during chaos creates value. A person who can lead, teach, or inspire creates value. And whether people admit it or not, they notice these things. That's why so many people ask the wrong question. They ask, why doesn't anyone respect me? Why do people ignore me? Why do people only care when I'm successful? But a better question is, what value am I bringing into the room? Because respect is often a response to value. Not luck, not charity, not an accident. Value. Now let's be clear. Your worth as a human being is not determined by money. Every person deserves dignity. Every person deserves basic respect. But the world rewards contribution. The world rewards usefulness. The world rewards people who make life better for others. Imagine two employees. One constantly learns new skills, takes initiative, solves problems, looks for ways to improve. The other does the bare minimum and complains that nobody appreciates them. Who gets trusted? Who gets promoted? Who gets opportunities? Most of the time, the answer is obvious. Not because life is perfectly fair, but because value attracts opportunity. The same principle applies in relationships. Healthy relationships survive when both people contribute value. That value might be support, trust, loyalty, honesty, encouragement. But when one person only takes and rarely gives, the relationship starts to weaken. People feel drained, not because they're selfish, because value is no longer balanced. And this is where many people get confused. They mistake attention for value. Attention is cheap. Value is rare. A loud person gets attention. A disciplined person gets results. A flashy person gets noticed. A valuable person gets trusted. Those are completely different things. Here's something worth thinking about. Most people spend their lives trying to be liked. Very few spend their lives trying to become useful. And that's why so many people feel invisible. Imagine two people entering the same room. One desperately wants attention. They talk non-stop. They try to impress everyone. They want to be noticed. The second person listens carefully, asks good questions, solves problems, makes other people's lives easier. At the end of the night, who do people remember? Usually not the loudest person. Usually the most valuable one. Because attention creates a moment. Value creates a reputation. And reputation compounds over time. If you're still watching, ask yourself this. What are you doing right now that would make you more valuable 1 year from today? Not tomorrow, not next week, 1 year from now. Because that question can change your future. Think about someone who spends years mastering a skill, reading, practicing, learning, improving. Nobody notices at first. Nobody applauds. Nobody cares. Then one day they become successful. People call them talented, lucky, gifted. But what they're really seeing is years of invisible effort finally becoming visible. That's how value works. It grows quietly before the world notices it. And that's why so many people quit too early. They want immediate results, immediate recognition, immediate respect. But real value is built in private long before it's rewarded in public. Now here's another uncomfortable truth. Value can be built, but value can also be lost. Think about an athlete who stops training, a business owner who stops learning, a leader who becomes arrogant, a professional who refuses to adapt. The world keeps moving. Standards keep rising. Competition keeps improving. And little by little, their value begins to decline. Not overnight, gradually, until one day they wonder why people no longer listen the way they used to, why opportunities seem harder to find, why respect feels harder to earn. The answer is simple. Value requires maintenance. Growth is maintenance. The moment you stop improving, you start falling behind. Not because you're failing, because everyone else is moving forward. And here's perhaps the hardest lesson of all. Some people only respect you when they need something from you. You've probably seen it. Maybe you had money. People called. People invited you places. People wanted your attention. Then life changed. The money disappeared. The opportunities disappeared. And suddenly, some people disappeared too. Painful? Yes, but educational. Because it reveals the difference between genuine respect and convenience. The people who truly respect you usually stay when the benefits disappear. The people who only valued utility often leave. That's why building your self-worth around other people's opinions is dangerous. One day they praise you. The next day they criticize you. One day they admire you. The next day they ignore you. If your confidence depends on their reactions, your confidence will never be stable. The strongest people understand something different. They build value internally first. They focus on becoming better, not looking better. Because looking valuable and being valuable are not the same thing. Real value is difficult to fake. Sooner or later, reality exposes everything. Take a moment and think about your own life. Who stayed when you had nothing to offer? Who remained when things became difficult? And who disappeared the moment your circumstances changed? The answers to those questions reveal more than years of guessing ever could. And now we arrive at the highest form of value. Most people think it's money. It's not. Most people think it's status. It's not. The highest form of value is self-respect, because self-respect changes everything. When you respect yourself, you stop tolerating disrespect. You stop begging people to stay. You stop chasing approval. You stop selling your time too cheaply. You become more disciplined, more confident, more selective, and those qualities naturally increase your value. That's why the goal is not to force people to respect you. The goal is to become the kind of person who naturally earns respect. One is chasing. The other is building. One is exhausting. The other is sustainable. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, stop focusing on how people treat you. Focus on increasing your value. Learn something. Build something. Improve something. Become a little better than you were yesterday. Not for attention. Not for approval. Not for praise. For yourself. Because the person you become is always more important than the attention you receive. If this lesson made you think differently about respect, success, and human nature, leave a comment below. What's one skill or habit you're going to improve this week? I'd love to hear your answer. And if you enjoy these lessons on confidence, discipline, self-respect, and human nature, subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey. And remember this, don't waste your life chasing respect. Build value, protect value, increase value. Because in the long run, people respond to value. And the moment you become truly valuable, you stop chasing respect, and respect starts chasing you.